Yeah, we ended the previous series on Eternal Empire. We will be starting this series here on Eternal Empire, and yeah, again, we didn't really get to talk much about that last series, but that final game, it did feel like RagnaroK was for the most part in control.
Oh yeah.
It felt like things were going to maybe shift when he was starting to go into this ultraless style, but things just really took a turn for the worse when all of the ghosts got fungals. Like in that got fungled. Like in that moment, it's like so much supply was lost, and it was like, oh, like that was,
Yeah,
yeah. It felt like that may have been
if
like the
Time's
turning point.
Advantage was a house, those ghosts were load bearing. We are now spawning in to our finals. It is going to be starting off on Eternal Empire, L-E-E-L-E-Ile, where in the top right-hand corner of the map, spawning in the top right-hand corner of the map, and I think somebody in chat earlier pointed out, for the 4th week in a row, it is the Shield of Ire himself, coming out all the way from the land of Korea. He is the man who blesses the rains, and the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. himself. We have, representing a freak of freaks, Stats. Boy, Stats weird. My casting tool didn't update. Oh, I didn't click away after I changed it.
It's all good. It will be fixed for the next map as we are spawning in at the bottom left-hand corner of Eternal Empire LE. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing Alpha X. It is RagnaroK.
So the CVP, I don't know what to expect right now, Light. I gotta tell you.
I missed this. Is this the first CVP of the day?
RagnaroK is the only Zerg player that's casted.
Yeah, he is. I just remember that RagnaroK and Solo were the only like notable Zergs, and they knocked each other out. Oh, there's a Marty as well. We just didn't get to cast him.
I guess the curse really has been broken for the CranKy Ducklings.
But I don't know why, but I'm very fond of this matchup. At least casting it. I'm not so much playing it. It's nice to oversee and observe the adept printers and not really take part in them. Which I'm sure you can understand.
Very much I do. And yeah, I don't know what it is about CVP. I think for a lot of people it has kind of become a little stale. You're seeing a lot of same coming out from the Protoss side and not too many innovations from the Zerg side, but I don't know what it is. It's just, yeah, I really don't know what it is. I guess it's just because of how either way it could go, right? Just how the dynamic of ZVP is, you know, how hard can this player defend or whatnot, or will this timing attack manage to hit just right?
Yeah, we'll see, as Stats opting to go for a Stargate opener as opposed to the Twilight Council, which I do approve of. I do quite enjoy that he is like diversifying a little bit. It's typically nowadays it's one or the other, but there's still other variants behind this, which is what makes it exciting, right? Like, you know, how many oracles is he going to make? Is he going to go 1, 2, or 3? That kind of can shift things up. Is he going to throw down the second Stargate and go double Stargate as well? So
yeah, we're gonna have to. But as it is Stats, we're gonna be starting off with a Oracle coming out. And I gotta tell you, like, when I see Stats go for an Oracle first, I always assume he's gonna go for a triple Oracle. Does do that quite often in PvZ.
Ooh, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see, as there we go. The second Oracle is on the way. We'll see if he goes for a third, if he ever decides to make a Phoenix, or what have you, as this first Oracle is making its way across the map. We can try and deal some damage. There are already 2 queens in position, though.
And that's gonna be making the Oracle divert its path a little bit. Just going into the main, seeing if there's any scouting to be done. Trying to take out a drone. 2 drones go down, actually. Ooh. And yeah, that actually took a lot out of the Oracle. Health-wise, it's gonna have to be a lot more careful.
Yeah. A lot of damage was done there, and triple Oracle?
This is what Stats like to do. It's not quite as I'm not really sure how I describe the place of a triple Oracle compared to the Oracle Phoenix, but, you know, going for a triple Oracle does mean that you can go for a lot more damage earlier on. You're a lot more committed to getting those
definitely.
down.
Yeah, it also means that you can have that third Oracle at home for defense against Lings, so you can secure your third base as well. You have a lot more energy available to you for those Pulsar beams. And at the same time, you also have the opportunity to deal more drone damage because you have another fresh Oracle to tank those Spore hits. So you can just dive on the drones. So yeah, Stats opting to go for this more aggressive Stargate style.
Definitely, and a little bit of a downside to that is that, unlike the Phoenixes, Oracles do have a lot of utility to them, but you have to preset them up with the stasis wards and all that. It's not quite like the Phoenix where you just jump in and I'm gonna take this unit out of the fight.
Yeah, it also means that like the Overlords are still spread out around the map. There isn't a Phoenix out there trying to deny scouting.
Yeah, that could go one of two ways. Obviously, if you're trying to deny that scouting information, if you're relying a bit on your eventual unit composition to be a bit of a surprise, then you're going to want to go for some Phoenixes out. But otherwise, in the case of Stats, he is fine with allowing his opponent to have that map information, allowing him to really scout where he's going for. Hydra Den coming out from RagnaroK, and I feel like we say it a lot, Light, but we just do not see Hydras that often anymore in CVP, and that's because of sentries.
Yeah, so often we see Roach Ravager, to begin with at least, to help deal with sentries and force fields. And I don't know if you noticed there, but Stats was able to cancel that fourth base, going for it again, actually, trying to focus down, but does lose an Oracle in the process. Was a little bit greedy there, but, because he went for triple, he still has two
that's
left.
Another advantage of going for the triple Oracle. I didn't even think about it that way. You can lose one and still have two. What?
Oh my god. It's crazy. And yeah, RagnaroK going for this interesting style, going for Ling, Bane, Hydra, working on those melee upgrades as well. So yeah, we'll see how this is gonna work for him. Not quite Miyamika style, as he is making
I like how
Banelings.
nowadays Ling, Bane, Hydra is considered an interesting style in TVP.
Yeah. I mean, again, Roach Ravager is a lot more the norm nowadays, so it's really cool to see RagnaroK switch things up a little bit.
Yeah, my memory is a little bit fuzzy, but what was it about Protoss back in the sort of 2017, 2018 sort of era that really made Ling, Bane, Hydra more effective than, or more popular, I should say, than Roach Hydra?
Yeah, I think it was just a matter of like. They did, but like I think going for a faster storm and things of that nature was a lot less common. Just the meta was very different, which allowed it to work out more. As the meta evolved, obviously it became a lot more difficult to make this composition work because of how like fragile it is. As we do see storm is on the way for Stats, like good storms will absolutely evaporate the army of RagnaroK. But we'll see if RagnaroK decides to do something before storm comes into play.
Yeah, he does have a bit of a window to hit if it does happen, but we do already see a lot of, and by a lot I mean 2 Archons out. This is not the most scariest army that Stats could really produce right now, but it has a lot of potential behind it. The Warp Prism is going with it, 4 full energy sentries, and again, where are the Corrosive Vials? Where are the Ravagers coming out for RagnaroK?
Ooh, and I do quite like that we do have these Dropper Lords going out. I imagine they're going to be filled with Banelings and headed towards the mineral line. So yeah, nice harassment potential here for RagnaroK. We'll see how good the reaction times are for Stats as he actually god, the Warp Prism!
Right on down, does not even get to scout these Dropper Lords.
Yeah. And opting not to go for Baneling drops, but actually filling them with Hydras going to go into the natural end. Stats like he's looking to be in a very precarious position right now.
So how much multi-prong do you want, RagnaroK? Yes, he said, as he fills everything up.
Yes is the answer. Oh my god, we have the main army trying to go here into the natural. Meanwhile, we do have the Dropper Lords also on the way into the natural as well, and the Banelings trying to go into the third base, or looking to go into the third base, but the Dropper Lords, they do back off, and the Banelings got caught by the stasis wards. Like, there's a reason why they call him the Shield of Fire.
Nothing, man, should come
He
in.
defended him.
That wasn't even.
My God.
That wasn't even a shield or something struck a shield. That was just I don't know. His enemy wasn't able to hit him, but here comes a Lottling Bane coming down. Fortunately, not quite getting the Nexus, but does try to take out the mineral line. Wastes quite a number of those Banelings, though, in the process.
Yeah, a lot of Banelings are using. It looks like the Nexus will be going down, and there isn't too much here to protect the Immortals as the Lings do get us around.
Nicely done. This Oracle can only do so much, and the Hydras are going to clean everything else up. GG is called, and RagnaroK is going to take game number 1 with some really, really, not sure what that was. I kind of want to chalk it down to to his ability to pull stats away or being able to distract stats, but yeah, RagnaroK pulling it out.
Yeah, really well done there. Like, RagnaroK, he was trying to go for all these multi-prongs, Stats was having none of it, and RagnaroK was like, all right, I'm just gonna mass up my army and go towards the north. And something that's really important to note there is that Stats, he did have Storm, he didn't have any High Templar with energy ready. He did not have that available to him. Even though he had teched into Storm, none of it was there, and that would have been crucial in that defense. He needed Storms, and they were just nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, relying a bit more on those Archons as a form of splash damage. And I guess another interesting point is that while RagnaroK didn't go for a Roach Warren ever, it kind of looked like Stats was building, assuming that eventually RagnaroK was going to do what is sensible and get some Roach Ravager out to deal with sentries. Because that was a lot of Immortals that went down in the end.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just quickly looking at the stream, and he did warp in High Templar. I'm just not too sure where they were. I think they were just completely out of position. So they just weren't a part of the fight.
Yes, that's a kind of expand to that sort of backwards fourth base location as opposed to the more typical rich Vespine fourth. So it does take a little while for reinforcements to go back and forth.
Yeah, definitely.
And so we have reinforcements going back and forth. We are now on to that other map with a rich Vespine base. It is Everdream, L-E-E-L-E, Edele. We're in the top right hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top right hand corner of the map. We have a blue Protoss player, and Light, are you free? That is where this man prefers to stream on. Don't think he's streaming right now, but, you know, check him out. Representing the Africa Freaks, we have Stats. Boys.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Everdream LE, we have the South Korean Zerg player. Representing Alpha X, it is RagnaroK.
I gotta be honest with you, lad. I did not think Hydroling Bane was gonna win that game.
Yeah. I mean, again, like, I feel like Stats had the tools to defend. They just were kind of out of position. Again, like, because High Templar, they do take quite some time to maneuver around the map as well, right? They just weren't where they needed to be. Storms nowhere to be seen. And something that's quite interesting is that RagnaroK actually went for an earlier gas pool before hatchery.
Yeah, not quite that pool first, but still, he is a little bit suspicious of what Stats is going to be throwing out. Now, if I'm not wrong, this is Stats' pick, as just going off of the bracket, it's AB, and RagnaroK should be A this week.
Oh, taking 2 gases, what? And he's doing this as the Provo Stats is here.
Just an extractor trick.
Yeah.
Just an extractor trick.
I was shook.
But let's be honest, if RagnaroK did take a double gas in front of the probe, would we be surprised? I wouldn't. I expect RagnaroK to be that ballsy. Really... If he doesn't do that, I'd be concerned.
Yeah, and the probe is here for Stats, which will spot. Oh, maybe not. As 6 links have been made by RagnaroK, which are going to be moving out across the map. Or actually, it looks like he was paranoid that there may have been a proxy.
Yeah, again, this has been Stats' map pick. So RagnaroK just opening out very defensively with that gas pool into a hatch, delaying his own third base until he's absolutely certain that he can take it.
Yeah, quite interesting. Obviously, it does mean that link speed will be done quite shortly as well. And yeah, he's just getting his third base. He's just macroing up. The earlier pull was just safety.
And again, I wonder what really prompted RagnaroK to be this suspicious. Other than everything being Stats' choice, it's...
Yeah.
I guess maybe he knows he's up against Stats, and Stats, you know, you never expect him to proxy, so that's why it's genius if he does. Because RagnaroK, he's going around every base on the map with this Ling.
Exactly. He's so paranoid right now. He's like, yo, I know you've got something out here. I know it. I know what you are.
You may have fooled the rest of the world,
Stats,
but I see you for who you are.
Yeah. Like, with all his links checking everywhere, just making sure there's nothing hidden, when what's hidden is really almost in plain sight. We have Adept printers on the way. We've got Glaives on the way. Yaku.
It goes Burr. And the funny thing is, as much as Zest has probably been the best player to use this Adept printer, I do kind of feel like Stats was the one who kind of came up with the build. Not quite as refined as how Zest was able to do it, obviously, but... yeah, Zest was kind of, or Stats I should say, was kind of one who was throwing it out every now and then in his EVP. And even nowadays, he is still just not quite as enthusiastic to use it every game as other players tend to be.
Yeah, we'll see how the defense is for RagnaroK. As his Overlord did spot the Adepts moving out across the map, he does have a Roach Warren on the way. There is some decent creep spread connecting the bases, so it's going to be, you know, he will be able to traverse in between them, but the Adepts are here. The Roach Warren is only just about to finish up.
And 20 Lings, I mean, they can try to get us around, but that's a lot of Adepts, and when you have a lot of Adepts, you have a lot of Glaives.
That you do. We have 10 Roaches on the way, but they aren't done quite yet, so he does need a little bit more time for them to pop out. And where will they pop out as well? As the Lings are looking to try and get us around on the Adepts.
Stats does commit to the shade. We do see another round of Warpids coming in, down, up a little to the north. But yeah, RagnaroK is just trying to buy himself as much time as he can, evacuating his middle line, and just trying to find a position as to where these Adepts are gonna commit to their shades, as Stats is just about to split his army as well as he can. 9 drones already going down.
Yeah, the Adepts shade into the natural. There's more Adepts in the third base as well. The drones are starting to fall, and the War Prism, the Queens aren't here to take it down, so more and more Warpins are going to go down as well.
Damage.
Oh my god, 18 drones have gone down. It looks like the Adepts in the main base will be dealt with, and the Queens are here to finally deal with this War Prism as well, so this should put an end to the majority of this harass.
As even with Queen, they still take a little while to waddle back and forth between this it's really a pretty wide space.
Yeah, indeed, as more drones are going down as well. Only 2 Adepts, but these 2 Adepts are dealing a decent amount of damage. And, like, in the end, RagnaroK, he does regain control of his bases, but he lost a lot to do so.
At what cost? Well, at 25 drones, that's your answer. Everyone Stats, he's just going to continue on and to take advantage of his upper hand. Going for this third base, knows that RagnaroK really cannot afford a counterattack at the moment.
Ooh, and speaking of counterattacking, RagnaroK actually making a massive wave of Lings, so that's exactly what he's looking to try and do. He's got Roaches out on the map, he's going to try and flood with Lings as well, and yeah, he's essentially going all in as he's completely stopped worker production, looking to either end the game or, you know, deal equal amounts of damage.
Whatever you can do as RagnaroK right now to really claw yourself back in. Stats is starting to go for a bit of a push, which I think RagnaroK should be able to defend with what he's got, but again, he is moving out with his Roach Ravager, but he's kept his Lings at home. He knows that something's coming out for him.
I think this could be a mistake from Stats. Like, his Immortals and Sentries are kind of exposed in the middle of the map. He could get surrounded, but there's a lot of Sentries there, a lot of force field energy.
Not that many Ravagers behind this. Kind of feel like Stats may have the War Prism will go down, and that is step 1 right now for RagnaroK. Stats, though, he still has a force field for almost every Ling that's out there, but RagnaroK has a lot of Lings, and he is starting to go in with the surround. This has been dealt with right now. Stats losing his entire army. The possibly the least efficient trade he could have gotten. And now RagnaroK is looking to drive his point home.
Exactly, like RagnaroK, that's exactly what he wanted. He was able to get a complete surround on the army of Stats, and Stats, he just didn't have enough there. Like, just immediately sniping that War Prism was so crucial, putting an end to the reinforcements of Stats, and now he's forced back home. He's throwing down 2 shield batteries, kind of panic shield batteries. I don't know how much they're going to come into play here.
How much time he can buy for himself. Another 2 force fields being popped up. There's the only 2 force fields that Stats had left. Battery overcharge being used right now, but a couple of corrosive vials should be able to deal with that. Not eventually.
Oh. Yeah, and there are enough adepts here. Even the Immortal is able to push this back. It looks like Stats has enough. The Ravagers are being focused down.
He's calling RagnaroK without the damage that he needed to get done. It looked pretty good for him for a while, but in the end, Stats is a shield of fire.
Yeah, it's important to note that as all that was happening, RagnaroK, he never droned up. When he stopped droning, he stopped for good. Like, he just continued to make more and more units. So he was putting himself completely all in.
Yeah, which you could kind of argue maybe he didn't have to after taking that defense, but it is really hard to gauge, isn't it? Especially when you're already behind as a Zerg player. It can be kind of hard to gauge to think, do I have the opportunity right now to drone up? And arguably RagnaroK didn't.
Yeah, like, I don't blame him, you know, like, he just won a massive engagement in the middle of the map. He wanted to keep on the momentum that he had, right? It makes sense that he counterattacked, but yeah, he just didn't have enough. Like, props to Stats, like, he had the shield batteries, he had just enough units to hold.
Also did. A little bit of a couple of missed times on things like the biles and whatnot, which really kept the battery alive for long enough for Stats to really hold out, and in the end, a lot of little things went Stats' way. Well, that and also the massive thing of the adept printer.
Yes.
And now that we are tied up 1-1 in this best of 5 series, we are going to be spawning in next into the Death Aura. L to the E. I could try to hold that voice for the whole intro, but I don't think that's possible. In the bottom right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have a blue Protoss coming down all the way from the land of Korea, making it to its finals 4 weeks in a row, this time looking to clinch it. He is gonna be the one who blesses the reins, representing a freak of freaks. He is Stats. Okay, casting tool is broken.
Ooh, S in the chat for casting tool.
Well, I mean, we're going through tech problem bingo tonight, so may as well.
Yeah, it is a bit of a shame. But spawning in here in the top left-hand corner of Death Aura LE, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing Alpha X. It is RagnaroK.
Already getting a denial on his natural base.
Yeah, it's always annoying when that happens, but at the same time, it's kind of expected nowadays. You know, like, it's like, yeah, this is where we are now in PvZ. You're lucky if you get your natural as a Zerg player.
Is that gonna be how you sum up this era of CVP? Yes, it's a great Zerg depression.
I mean,
things were going so well in 2019, but then the nerfs came along.
You say that, but you know, Cyril and Raynor, they're still doing incredibly well. Like, you know, it's the game. It isn't completely flipped on its head. And yeah, we'll see how this game will progress. As so far, everything's pretty standard. I'm curious to see what Stats is going to do, because game 1, he went for a triple Oracle opener. Game 2, he went for Adepts. What's he going to do here in game 3?
It's going to be another Stargate opening. But is it going to be that triple Oracle?
All right. Yaku, how many Oracles are we going to see? 1.
And then he's going to go into Phoenixes. I don't have anything to base that off on, but you know, he can't be going triple Oracle twice, right? Especially if it didn't work out for him the first time.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm gonna say 2.
Okay. I feel like I may be employing a bit of a fallacy where it's never actually the case where you're thinking, oh, it's been... stuff has happened in a certain amount of time, so this time, it's gonna be different.
It's not always the case, and maybe like tricking your opponent into thinking that can lead to their downfall, right? Like he's not going to proxy me again.
You know what it comes down to? That fallacy is relying on statistics, which we all know is unreliable, and stats. You know, he does whatever he pleases.
I don't support the statements of Yakuzaku.
Wordplay there.
Of Yakuzaku.
Nice little bit of wordplay.
As so far you're correct in that there was one Oracle and one Phoenix. Yeah, there could be. We'll see how this Stargate is incorporated.
What's funny about Stargate openings in PvZ Lite is that when you go for a double Oracle right off the bat, that's not quite set in stone, right? How much you're gonna go for, and when you go for your first Phoenix, you know, you can still get another Oracle behind that. Once you get your second Phoenix, though, that's it. You're making nothing but Phoenixes, as it seems like Stats is going to be going for that with another Stargate out.
I love this. So he did go across the map with this Oracle, got 3 drone kills, just managed to escape with said Oracle, which will be key for defense against, you know, these things here they're trying to poke around. And yeah, as soon as that Overlord went down in the main base, throws down a second Stargate, which I imagine will be for mass Phoenix production. I don't know how well that's going to do against the Roaches that are on the way for RagnaroK.
Well, if Stats has a lot of Phoenixes, he can lift a lot of Roaches. You know, think about it that way.
He can. It's just that Roaches are quite tanky, so they take a long time for pieces to kill. But yeah, like regardless, like RagnaroK has no idea that this is coming. He has not seen the second Stargate. He doesn't know that Phoenixes are being amassed as we speak. Meanwhile, RagnaroK is amassing Lings.
Yeah, this is kind of what you want against this sort of mass Phoenix style, isn't it? Like, that's trying to, you know, make sure that you know that your opponent can only lift so many units, so just make even more of them and try to brute force your way into getting, not necessarily getting the win, but, you know, getting a base, trying to get the economy down. Whatever you can do.
Yeah, and I was just checking, and RagnaroK actually did spot that second Stargate, so he knows what he's going up against, or unless he didn't click on it. He saw it morphing, I should say. So yeah, we'll see what he decides to go for, as he has a lot of Lings, and he's morphing in more and more Roaches.
Yeah, he's getting Goliath on top of that. This is a little bit of salt in the wounds, Goliath Constitution, when you're going for this sort of push. Stats does see the Lings with his Phoenix, and he is starting to move out. That's a lot of Phoenixes. This is the Wing Commander. So the Stats and Trap trait nicknames.
Yeah, that's a lot of Phoenixes, and these things looking to try and deal some damage across the map, but with the defensive Oracle stats, he's perfectly fine. The Phoenixes, they're here, they're picking up these Roaches. The Roaches, there aren't enough of them, they're all going to be going down. The Spire being thrown down, so this tells us that RagnaroK, even though he did spot the morphing in Stargate, he didn't click on it, he didn't know what it was, and he was just not prepared for this.
Indeed, he wasn't. Maybe trying to get some Corruptors to deal with the Phoenix, but yeah, I kind of feel like Hydras are what you want.
Yeah, I mean, they're both answers. One is better than the other.
Answers, but one of them is a bit more correct.
Yeah, and I mean, either way, you're in a rough position because you're only now responding after so long. Like, there's already a high Phoenix count, so regardless of your answer, it's going to be difficult to make it work, as the Phoenixes, they're diving in, they're killing more and more Overlords.
Yeah, Spores are out, but they just cannot kill the Phoenixes fast enough. And Stats, you know, he's even splitting up his forces pretty well. Excellent micro coming out right now, making sure that his injured Phoenixes are pulled away. He's actually diving right on top of these Overlords.
He doesn't even care, and there we go. We have Corruptors on the way for RagnaroK. It's the thing is with Corruptors, it's difficult because they're so much slower than Phoenixes. They take a lot longer to ramp up and actually deal with them. And once you're done, and once the Phoenixes get dealt with, like, what do you have for the ground army?
Lords eventually.
Eventually, we don't have an infestation pit. Like, it's gonna take quite some time. I'm just really worried for RagnaroK because I feel like he's just a step behind.
No, he definitely is, and I think he's trying to find his bearings, so to speak. It does start with him trying to get this 4th base, and from there, figuring out what he's gonna go for. Looks like he is going to be focusing more onto Ling Bane. We do see Baneling speed, or centrifugal hooks I should say, as well as that +1 melee upgrade.
Ooh, yeah, definitely. And nice pick off, you know, the Corruptors are able to kill one of the Oracles and looking to try and just dive in and snipe these Phoenixes.
War Prism!
Oh god, War Prism!
Alright, RagnaroK is diving on in, but Stats is just trolling at that point. Moving in War Prism. Oh, do you think you got it? No, you're actually flicking the Phoenix. Yeah, Stats' Phoenix count is starting to go down. I mean, Phoenixes, they do have a bonus against biological, but the actual DPS that they have isn't that high, especially against an armored unit like a Corruptor.
Yeah, and I just realized that was the second War Prism, actually. The Stats already have the War Prism out of the map. Which is...
He's making 2 at a time!
He's giving his opponent fault. What? Why? What? Stats, please!
This is a mistake, or Stats is an absolute Chad.
I want to say it's a mistake, but it's hard to say. Like he has 3 War Prisms out on the map. He just wants to make sure that. I guess he wants to make sure that even if one gets sniped by the Corruptors, like there are more to help with him. And the Ling Bane army is just crushing the ground army of Stats.
It is, but over here in the main base, the the Archon and Zealots are doing a lot. The War Prism does get taken out just before those Zealots can finish their warp in. And RagnaroK, he's losing quite a bit, but this is more than enough breathing room for him.
Exactly, and you know what, Yaku, it's fine. He has 2 more War Prisms that came from. He has plenty to spare. Oh god.
On the map right now, and they're both surrounded. But that's just it. He wants to focus on one of them, so the other one can move unscathed.
Do you think RagnaroK is doing a double take right now? He's like, what? What did I just find? What am I seeing? He's gonna find the other one.
Excuse me?
Oh my god.
I like it.
And I don't think I do. Jesus Christ, at the moment, like Stats, he's struggling at the moment, maybe falling apart a little bit as RagnaroK, he's just got map control. All the Phoenixes, they were neutralized as well.
Look at the army supply in it.
That's what I mean, like I'm not really too sure what Stats' plan is at the moment, as he's making more Archons. He's got a couple of Immortals as well, but here we go. RagnaroK is pushing in.
This is going to be too much to deal with for the side of Stats. He could not afford to have shield batteries out here, so his defense is going to be a little subpar. I don't think he's going to make it light.
Yeah, I mean, it's taking quite some time for the Road Traveler to push in, and there is a nice counterattack. Archon's in the main base, Zealots at the 3rd base, but what is there here to stop the main army from pushing into Stats' 3rd?
The answer is a whole lot of nothing. The SimCity is working pretty well in Stats' favor right now. Going to be forcing the choke point, really making sure that these Roaches cannot get the concave that they want. But with this last Immortal going down, I think that's gonna be about it. Another quick warp in here in the main base, and actually RagnaroK's bases are a little undefended.
Yeah, the bases of RagnaroK are getting just torn apart, but at the same time, like, the main army for RagnaroK is just continuing to push on forward. He's gonna kill the 3rd.
He's almost tripling garbage supplies, so
yeah, that's the main issue. 22 probes went down. Jesus Christ. And I mean, RagnaroK, he gets pushed away, but I feel like he just comes out better after all of this.
He definitely wanted to sack a couple of those Roach Ravagers as well. GG's called. RagnaroK gonna take game number 3, taking up to match point.
Oh my god. And yeah, GG. I love how everyone's reacting to the War Prisms. It's like, oh my god, it has to have been a mistake. I mean, to be fair, he needed the extra War Prisms because he kept losing them, so maybe it was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. Maybe he knew he was gonna lose them. Did he?
I mean, That didn't necessarily mean that he knew that it was bad, but he knew that he was doing it.
If Crank was here, I would message Crank. I'd be like, "Hey, can you ask Stats about this?"
We gotta get to the bottom of this.
We do. Oh my god. And as you were saying, RagnaroK, he is on match point. One more win, and he will win the entire tournament over Stats, which is again something that a lot of people wouldn't necessarily think. Like Stats, he's one of the best Protoss players. I would definitely say that he's favored in this series, but RagnaroK, he's doing well today.
He's doing so well. And again, I think that you can really sort of see RagnaroK's strength, especially in that series against Time there, where he's one of the more adaptable players. He is one of the more intelligent players, I would say. He really knows how to take in information and knows how to make use of that.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's odd to say, but like even those stats, he hid the double Stargate Phoenixes for so long, and he dealt a lot of damage with them. Like at the end of the day, it didn't really matter. Like it felt like the follow up for Stats just wasn't really there. Like after the double Stargate Phoenix, it's like, all right, what do I do next?
Warp Prism. Gotta make 2
Warp Prism. That's Warp Prisms.
And speaking of making 2 at a time, this is a player who did do 2 at a time in terms of Warp Prisms in that previous game, funnily enough. Funny how that works. In the right side of the map, spawning all the way in the right side of Golden Wall, LE, we have the blue Protoss. He is the one who is blessing Light's Reigns over in the Africa TV. Tried to combine it all, but couldn't think of much on the fly. Representing Africa Freaks, coming down from the land of Korea, we have, not Time, Stats. I'm not sure if I should be using the casting tool now that I know it's broken.
Well, so is it just not showing
no, it just hasn't updated
teams?
stats. It still says Time KyZ Gaming. Yeah, that's not supposed to happen. For those of you who don't know, casting tool takes information from the game first, and so if you don't input stuff, it'll say the name of who is there, and if you put in the wrong information, it'll still change it to the name of who is there. But here, it's still saying Time.
Yeah. Meanwhile, his opponent, it is not Time, it is not Stats. He is the South Korean Zerg player representing Alpha X. It is RagnaroK.
At least RagnaroK works. I think it just didn't update for some reason. But then again, it's kind of odd that it's still taking that information from the casting tool itself and not from the game.
Yeah, definitely. It's quite odd, and again, we'll have to look into it and try and fix it for the next broadcast. There's a bit of shame of the technical issues today, but despite that, we are here. We are in the finals. We are going to be on. Yeah, we're on Golden Wall of all maps, and yeah.
I don't believe this is RagnaroK's choice, but I do remember Golden Wall being one of RagnaroK's preferred maps.
Yeah, definitely. It could also be like our own bias seeing, again, RagnaroK take out Zest on this map with the gold base, but yeah, it does seem like this is the kind of map that RagnaroK thrives in. I'm saying that, but Time did win on this map against him, so
maybe it's not quite how it used to be. You know, nowadays, every player's mining off the middle of the map, every player's getting the gold base. So, you know, RagnaroK might just be hanging it up a little.
He could be, as once again we do see Stats going for that Stargate opener, opting not to go for Twilight Council, which is quite interesting to say the least. Kind of preferring this kind of style, right? How many oracles?
On Golden Wall. 3. It's gonna be 1 oracle.
3.
3. I'm gonna say 3, but it's gonna be 1.
I think it's gonna be 1
so
and 1
Phoenix. Say that it's 1, but it's gonna be 3.
We'll see. We'll see how Stats ends up doing this. As you know, the first Oracle has finished up. You know, 3 drones do get. Oh, and a second Oracle is being made.
All right, but it could also just be 2 Oracles and into a Phoenix. A lot of links are coming out right now for side of RagnaroK as the Oracle is on the other side of the map. There is a wall and there are 2 Adepts, so RagnaroK is not going to try his luck. He is going to be backing off immediately.
Yeah, Stats defensively, he's fine against all these Lings. Meanwhile, the Oracle does get 2 drones, then backs off, and ooh, you called it, Stats, even though you didn't believe in it. Stats is going for that triple Oracle opener.
I was right, huh? I'm not used to that.
You're like, what? No, something must be wrong. So yes, Stats, he did this earlier in this series, and again, you can do a lot with this. There's a lot of potential, like offensively and defensively. As long as you keep your Oracles alive, then yeah, there's definitely a lot you can do with it, especially with stasis wards as well. It was on Eternal Empire where he went triple Oracle, correct? Yeah, and it was, again, the map where I do believe that Stats could have held. He just, you know, he had Storm, didn't have any High Templars. We'll see if that comes into play here, as, ooh, RagnaroK going for a Roach War in this game. Not Hydras.
Yeah, and it's an interesting choice. I'm not sure what or why RagnaroK chooses to go for the tech choices that he does, you know? Whether or not he goes for this Roach Warren or goes straight to Lair and gets a Hydra and stuff like that. But he's probably realized Raptors are pretty good against force fields, aren't they?
They are insanely good, and we'll see what Stats is able to do here. Oh, has to be so careful with these Oracles. Gets a couple more drone kills and keeps them alive. He does spot the Lair timing, which is quite nice. He does also spot the Roach Warren as well, so he knows the kind of composition that he's going up against, and we'll see what he goes for. As he's going for a Twilight Council, he's going for a Forge, so this looks like Zealot legs with +1.
Typically not. You typically don't get the Forge with or any upgrades with something like Adept, says it's not entirely worth it. It still takes the same amount of shots to kill units. But
yeah, and something incredibly important, which you may have been going into, is the fact that we have a Nidus on the way.
I'm actually speechless right now. Of all the things that RagnaroK could have gone for, this was the one that I thought was the least likely.
Yeah, and this could completely catch Stats off guard. If we quickly look at the vision of RagnaroK, he does have an Overseer coming in to the south side of the map, and he does have vision here towards the gold, and there it is. He throws it down on the other side of the gold, and Stats, he has no idea.
Stats has no idea.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
RagnaroK knew that Stats was going to be expanding this way, and so what does he do? He gets some vision wherever he could, making really good use of the map. The map's defenses. Immediately takes out an Oracle.
Immediately, yeah, one of the Oracles immediately falls. I mean, the army for Stats, he is rotating down here to the south, but only just now throwing down a second, oh my god, a second shield battery, and I don't know if Stats is going to have enough here to hold.
Well, at the very least, he's going to be losing a couple of gateways. Stats may have enough to hold here. It's just Roaches. There are no Ravagers here. A couple of Queens to help in some anti-air. Beautiful force fields.
Yeah. Oh my god, as you were saying, even feedbacks the Queens. The important thing right now is that there are no Ravagers, so these force fields, they're gonna stay up, they're not gonna go down.
That push up into the natural base has been deflected, but there is another Nidus coming out right at the back of the main. And this is a pretty good position for the RagnaroK. There's a lot of SimCity he can make.
Yeah, Nidus. Exactly, Nidus is to the main, to outside the third base as well. The force fields were doing well, and the Warp Prism.
Is RagnaroK extending a bit here? He wants to get a Warp Prism, but he has actually gotten himself in a really good position to shell away at Stats' army. The Warp Prism goes down, and actually +1 got delayed and denied. That is such a huge step here. RagnaroK could just win it right now if he commits.
Yeah. The Forge was depowered and production was depowered as well, hindering Stats. Look, he has a bank, but he can't spend it because he doesn't have the production for it. And oh my god, can he just hold maybe a couple more shield batteries are being morphed in, even pulling the workers as well. It's so close, he may just hold.
I can tell you one thing though, Zealots are absolutely what you want against these Roaches, but it looks like RagnaroK may just have too much here for Stats to deal with. I think shield's gonna be broken.
Ooh. Yeah, exactly. There is a second Nidus coming up, and it looks like it may finish up. Finally,
one finish, and this is going to give Stats a lot of a better time. And meanwhile, much like game number 2, RagnaroK is not joining up behind this. He is as all in as you can really get with this.
Jesus Christ, it's so important that he was able to repower that Forge to finish that upgrade and focus down those Niduses. And now, like, Stats, he's ahead in workers. Ooh, but the aggression is not stopping.
Not. At Stats, he is on top of these. But again, there's only so many places Stats can be in at one point. Nice force fields, but not quite enough.
Exactly. Like, the problem is that there were 3 Niduses, so, like, RagnaroK can just go in and out of either one of them, and Stats was being pulled apart.
He really is.
Oh, but here we go. He's able to deal with the Nidus outside the natural, but the Nidus outside the third is being incorporated now. We have more roaches hitting the third base of Stats, but there's plenty of shield batteries here, so maybe he can buy enough time, and the army of Stats is able to regroup. Spire on the way behind this.
Spire and a 4th base behind all of this. I think RagnaroK has to realize I'm not going to be able to break Stats. Stats once again showing off just how good he is at these defensive situations. There's a reason why he was given that moniker, Shield of Ire, but yeah, finally RagnaroK has realized he's not going to be able to break him. He's going to transition to the next phase of the game.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, it's I can't believe that Stats was able to just hold on despite all of the Niduses. Like, it's just so good transfuses. Feedback stopping any transfuses from the queens and just hindering so much potential there. And now Stats, like, he's for the most part ahead in economy. He's on 3 bases, which is fine against a 4-base Zerg, and now with that War Prism, he's pushing out, looking to try and deal some counter damage.
And it may be enough. Again, he's got his +1. He's got his chargelets, the units that you want to get against roaches. But this is a bit of a slim window for him. There are already a lot of defenses up. And RagnaroK is transitioning into more of a Mutiling Bane kind of style, which is not what you want. When you're going Zealots.
Exactly. Honestly, these Mutalisks could completely catch Stats off guard. To be fair, he does have Archons with his main army, so his main army is pretty secure against Mutalisks. I'm just worried about, like, his bases, like the mineral lines. Like, are they going to be able to withstand the threat of all of these mutas? As there are some shield batteries, but they aren't in the best position to protect the mineral lines. So, yeah, this could be huge for RagnaroK.
And it's looking like it will. Stats pulled his entire army back once he caught a whiff of these Mutalisks. He knows that he just doesn't quite have enough and not in position. Alright, surprisingly not that many probes got taken out there. It was only a couple of Mutalisks, and they do run into the Archons, a lot of them. Well, I say a lot of them, but not that many have been taken out. But RagnaroK didn't have a lot to begin with.
Yeah, and as we see, 8 probes have gone down, keeps the majority of the Mutalisks alive, and that's all that RagnaroK needed to do. Like, he's not committing any more to the Mutalisks. They're just there to thread the mineral lines, to focus down the War Prism if they get the chance. Meanwhile, his main army is Lingbane Roach Ravager.
Oh, try saying that Try saying that 10 times fast. I couldn't even say the thing, and it's just...
Try saying it once. This is difficult as it is. Something important to note, though, is that as time progresses, Stats, he does have Storm on the way. He does already have a bunch of High Templar, but it's not quite ready for... Oh, no, it did just finish for this.
It did, and there's just not quite enough in range here for RagnaroK to try to take out that High Templar.
Oh god, the High Templar are exposed! No, the Mutalisks are jumping
on top of them, but thankfully the army was relatively close by, and most of these Templar are able to live thanks to a little help from the shield batteries. The middle of the map has started being mined out, and RagnaroK trying to go for a bit of a flank here.
That was actually so close. 0 High Templars have died. All of them were just able to survive on low health, and now the storms are available.
Alright, so are force fields. This is looking pretty rough for RagnaroK to engage into. He is going to be retreating as he sets up a bit of a flank, but he may have just revealed his card a little bit too quickly. A run-by of Zealots up here in the northern base, and RagnaroK is starting to pay the price.
Exactly. We finally see Stats getting the army composition he's always wanted. We see all of these Archons, Immortals, Sentries, High Templar as well, but he may get surrounded.
And he is looking to get surrounded. The Storms, Olite, have just about been perfect right now.
Ooh.
And RagnaroK's army supply is starting to plummet. His worker supply is really going down. He is going to be on 3 bases.
Wow.
Or 4 bases fairly soon.
Exactly. Despite the mutas being out, the War Prism was able to warp in those
stats. It looked like he was dead, but he is delivering us the ace match.
Oh, there we go. Stats bringing it back, finally getting, like, holding on, you know, showing us his namesake being the Shield of Ire, and finally getting into this more, like, well-rounded composition that I feel like he's been lacking this entire series. He finally got it and was able to utilize it, and now we are heading into the ace match.
I still can't believe we're getting the ace match.
I'm half expecting Submarine. Yeah, it was looking so bad for Stats. Like, RagnaroK was just on fire.
Funnily enough, whenever Stats is looking in a good position, he does something like makes a bunch of War Prisms and doesn't bring it all away. But then when it looks like he's in a terrible position, I mean, he got that name for a reason, right?
Yeah, definitely, as the lobby has been made, and it is going to be, ooh, it will be on Pillars of
so we don't
Gold.
see Ice and Chrome tonight. I'm fine with that.
We will not. Same with Submarine. Except for, yeah, did we see it in Dream?
Yeah,
Dream played on it, right? Yeah.
I want to be seeing Ice and Chrome. Although you can kind of see it in the RAM, but that's a long story. And speaking of seeing, you really gotta see him to believe him. This player, that is, the man who looked like he was dead, but brought it back into the brink and into the ace match, could actually turn around and just win this entire tournament. We have, in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, the blue Protoss player, coming down all the way from the land of Korea. He is going to be representing the Afrika Freaks. Are you free, though? You gotta bless them reins. He is the Shield himself. It's not time. Stats.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Pillars of Gold LE, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing Alpha X. It is RagnaroK.
I was thinking of just skipping the fanfare this time, but I thought, you know, we're in the ace match. May as well.
Yeah. Gotta get the trumpets
Even if
going.
it isn't for stats.
Alright, and yeah, we'll see how this game progresses. You know, a lot of people, they're asking for a Twilight Council opener in the chats, as you know, it is you know, a lot more common, and we did see Stats win a game off of it with his Adept's Harass, but again, he's shown time and time again that he really favors that Stargate play. You know, we could see one or the other. Something that we haven't seen this series is Twilight Council into Dark Shrine, which we saw plenty of times from SOS, and we have seen incorporated more and more by like players like Pez. So we may see that here. I don't know if he's going to do something crazy in the ace match. Yeah, we're not doing it that again.
I did actually get confused for a second. I was like, wait, what are you saying? Right.
Said Pez, not probe. God damn it.
But yeah, I don't know. I would normally, when we get to the ace match, I would normally say it's on this player to pull something non-standard, or it's on this player to just continue what they're doing and do it better. But yeah, I feel like we have potential for both of them to really see what they can get done. And here we have it. Stats, man of the people. He is going to get that Twilight Council. Watch him go into charge.
So with this Twilight Council, will he go into Glaives? Will he throw down a Dark Shrine? We do have a Robo on the way, so we will be seeing a War Prism being made, and yeah, we'll see what kind of aggression he decides to go for. There are different variants of Adepts, you know, there's like 4-gate or 6-gateway Adepts as well, depending on how committed you want to be, and yeah, well, I guess we'll wait and see, as somehow these links managed to slip in.
Yeah, somehow.
God.
Just not quite in position there, and already taking out 2 more probes. That's a little bit of a yikes.
Yeah, that was really nice damage done by RagnaroK. You don't really see that too often in the early game, so was able to slip in and get some damage done. Meanwhile, we do have Glaives on the way for stats, no Dark Shrine whatsoever, and yeah, we'll see what RagnaroK is able to do in response here, as he has yet to go into the main base for a scout.
Yeah, but inadvertently he has decided to go for a Roach Warren, which is absolutely what you want against these kinds of openings, especially against the Adept Printer. And I actually have a bit of a hypothesis, Light. If you're as a Zerg player, if your natural base gets denied and you have to go into that third base, would it be worth it to just grab the Roach Warren in case it's a this a Glaive Adept build?
I guess so. Like, it's weird because this happens so commonly that it may mean that your opponent wants to go for Glaives, or it may not, right? It's like, it's hard to tell.
Because the way I'm looking at it, it's even if they decide not to go for the Glaive build, it's kind of like not going for Double Reaper in that TVT, right? Just get it in case. If you don't get it, then if they do the one thing, you're gonna be dead 100%.
Yeah, and honestly, RagnaroK is a little more prepared for this compared to the previous time. Stats went Glaive Adepts. This time, the Roaches are already done. They're already in position. You know, a couple of
left and right.
Yeah, the Adepts, they're already dying.
Quick evacuations on these drones as well. Unfortunately, not able to save all of them. As I said, a couple of drones going down, but this is hardly game-ending damage. Yeah,
definitely. And the War Prism was at the third base, but there's already a Queen there warding it away. All the Adepts get cleaned up in the main, and that's it. That was kind of the end of that. Meanwhile, Stats, he's continuing to warp in here at the third, but like, things haven't snowballed. Things haven't escalated to the point where RagnaroK is panicking all over the place.
Yeah, and this is looking to not be too good for Stats. He is starting his Immortal count. He is looking to transition into more of a straight Century Immortal push. But just like in game number 2, you can see that the strength of that push came in really denying the economy and making the Zerg player panic. This time, RagnaroK is just solid, like a rock.
Exactly. Despite that, though, Stats, he is continuing to find more and more damage. He has to be careful, though, with this War Prism. Is getting quite low on health. Has to make sure he keeps it alive, because as soon as it dies, RagnaroK is going to just push across the map.
Even just push across the map regardless. So
it's
a
possible.
couple of links here. Oh no, he was waiting for those Adepts to come in and go in for those surrounds. And he should be able to get quite a number of them. Not that many of them, actually, now that I'm looking back at it.
Yeah, nice War Prism Micro there, able to save the majority of them, and yeah, RagnaroK just situating himself here on the other side of the map, droning up a little bit, but here we go, more Lings and Roaches are in production for RagnaroK, looking to push out quite soon. Defensively, Stats, he's getting a third base. I'm a little bit concerned, like, RagnaroK, he's making more Lings, he's ready to push out.
So is Stats. Check out these
guns.
He's moving out, and yeah, this may be the wrong call. I feel like if you're going to be pushing out, then you need to have done quite a bit of damage earlier on. But I guess Stats is feeling pretty confident in his micro, in his ability to get some damage done.
This is great. Okay, Stats, he's staying here at home, which is where he needs to be. If he's gonna fight, if he's gonna win an engagement, he needs to fight with these shield batteries in this defensive position. As RagnaroK, he is pushing out across the map. We do have that large line of Lings and Roaches.
They're all
oh my god, that's a lot of Ravagers.
RagnaroK, with his initial poke into the Lings, saw that it was basically nothing but Immortals and Sentries. And yeah, you don't want too many Roaches when you're up against that composition. Alright, it's starting to convene in. Nice little bit of a pincer move here. A lot of Ravagers. So these force fields aren't going to get too much done, but RagnaroK prioritizing trying to get units killed with the Biles rather than trying to open up the force fields. Sats is starting to run out of energy on these sentries. He has about 2 force fields left.
Yeah, more and more shield batteries are finishing up, but there are just so many Ravagers. Biles land on everything, and despite that, though, there are 4 Immortals left here for
nice
Stats.
juggling indeed, and yeah, the shield batteries are really keeping it together. Stats is not utilized. He has actually utilized his overcharge.
Oh god.
So yeah, that's going to be on cooldown. But still, he's being able to
Yeah, the Biles continue to reign. Yeah, definitely. Like Stats, he lost 2 Immortals. He still has 3 here, and just don't underestimate the amount of shield batteries that there are. There are like 5 here, or at least there were. 1 got taken out. But is it even enough? As RagnaroK, he's continuing to flood with Lings.
Come off cooldown. Very nice blocker that adept here into that natural base. Nice couple of Biles, gets a little bit of damage.
Another shield battery. Yeah, and the Lings have actually managed to get into the main base. So Stats, he's trying to hold here at the third. The Lings, they're in the natural. Oh, but there's army here as well. Stats, he's actually defending quite well.
Surprisingly, he has not lost too many probes here. He definitely didn't lose probes to those Lings. Yeah, it's so important that he's just immaculate at dodging these Biles. The Biles, they just continue to rain everywhere, but Stats, he's on point with his micro, able to dodge the majority of them. And now Stats, he himself has been able to defend here, and he's getting an army that's starting to look quite scary against what RagnaroK has. A lot of AoE, which is definitely what he wants to deal against these Lings. But yeah, they're even an army supply, which always favors the Protoss player. And after an intense run and such a close series, Stats is gonna once again be claiming an ESL Pro Tour Open Cup Asia Championship. RagnaroK, he got pretty close. He was looking so good, but unfortunately could not quite crack that shield of ire or those shield batteries.
Yeah, I just love how I'm even looking at the at the stream now. Stats, he knew the situation that he was in, and he took it incredibly seriously. He had 5 shield batteries at his third base, and he was using the overcharge as well. He was just making sure that he had everything he needed to hold, because he knew if he could, then he could just push out and win the game.
And we saw that evidently. He pushed out and won the game.
Yeah. Oh my god. GG, well played. I just love how game number 5, Stats once again just showing us that he is the shield of fire, right? Like defensively, there's none other that compare to him, at least when it comes to Protoss players.
Yeah. And I mean, again, RagnaroK, he got really close there, but could not quite crack Stats the same way he cracked time. Maybe if it was a best of 7 question mark, maybe we might see a little bit of the adaptability coming in there, but in the end it was what it was. 3-2 in the favor of Stats.
Yeah, I'm just messaging the admins, just letting them know the score and then what transpired. But yeah, just congratulations to Stats taking another win under his belt, and also congratulations to RagnaroK for having a really deep run. And it's been a while since he's done so.
I think there was a lot of hype surrounding him at the start of the year. He was looking to be one of those players who was starting to ascend from the mid tier into that higher tier, maybe even seeking his way into the upper echelon. But unfortunately, he hasn't really had a big result yet this year, so it's nice to see him back in form today.
Yeah, definitely. It's really cool to see, and also shout out to some of the other players who made it to the semis. Of course, important to bear in mind that ESL Open Cups, they have changed their format, so the top 4 players do get paid. So congratulations as well to Time, as well as SOS. Like they performed well. They still walk away with something, and like Time especially, like his series against RagnaroK, there were highs and lows, and I just want to see more of them.
Do agree with you there.
I hope he comes back.
Hope he comes back and we're able to cast him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
as we aren't always so fortunate.
But with that, I think that should just about wrap us up here tonight. I'll be switching to the schedule scene real quick, as we are going to be back tomorrow at the same time, 6 p.m. KST, with the third final ESL Open Cup fueled by Dare. There are only 3 more left, so if you are a fan of Oceanic/ANZ/C StarCraft 2, that is a good place to follow.
Yeah, we will be back here tomorrow, you know, same time, same place, with more ESL Open Cups, this time for a different region, as Yaku just said. And yeah, we are live 5 days a week. We have plenty of StarCraft here, on this channel. Again, I apologize for the technical issues. Yaku as well. I know, Yaku's in charge of production, and he takes a lot of it to heart. And yeah, like we're in this situation where normally we have someone else taking care of production, but they are unavailable. So we are taking the reins, and yeah, sometimes, you know, things just happen that are just kind of unfortunate, and we weren't prepared for it. Again, hopefully we can get everything sorted and fixed for tomorrow. Again, sorry for like cutting out in the final moments of time versus RagnaroK, right? Like, that was unfortunate, but we do have a local recording, so, you know, on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, all the VODs should be there, and it should be fine. And yeah, like, despite the technical issues, I hope you do still give us a chance and hit that follow button. And if you enjoyed our casting, you know, we have plenty more of it here as well throughout the week.
Where?
It's okay, Yaku.
Well,
it's okay.
Yeah, we'll try to get down to the bottom of all of this before tomorrow's broadcast goes down, and yeah, we definitely hope to see you guys there.
Yeah, definitely. And next week as well, like, we cast this every single week. We have the weekly schedule, like, which is pretty set in stone. Every single week we continue with our same schedule, whether it's Korean StarCraft, North American, Southeast Asian, ANZ. It's all here on the CranKy Ducklings. And yeah, with that, do you have anything else you want to add yet?
Not quite. Yeah, just we'll see you.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Stay tuned, as we will be raiding another StarCraft 2 streamer. So yeah, if you want to continue to support the scene, stay tuned, and we will see you tomorrow.
Bye.